All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Walls of Wellness. I am your host, Dr. Kathleen Walls. I know it's been a little while since I've seen you, but I am super excited to be back. And I have a wonderful and special guest with me this evening that came referred by someone. So, this is the first time she and I are meeting virtually. But once she started telling me her story on the phone, I was like, just stop. We're going to save it for the audience. Come on, because it has to be shared. So, this is Nancy James. She is a transformational life coach. So, welcome to the show, Nancy.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Kathleen. I'm so happy to be here and so happy to be with your audience and to share a little bit of the wisdom that I've gained in these 75 years.
Not 75.
Yes, 75.
You look, as they used to say, you look marvelous.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does it feel, now look, we're going to jump up. Does it feel like, what does 75 feel like for you?
It feels amazing
Hmm.
because I've reached that, there's something about age where you get to a point where a lot of times things that you used to care about, you don't care
Yes.
about anymore. Things that used to phase you don't phase you anymore.
Hmm.
And you get to, and I get to live my life the way I want to live my life.
Mm. Di- when you reflect on earlier versions of yourself, is that something that you always yearned for to live
Yeah,
your life? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Always yearned for it, but couldn't do it. I mean,
Uh-huh.
family, society, you know, I just couldn't be who I really was. In fact,
Mm.
that actually was hidden away quite early because I had to
Mm-hmm.
be what the people around me needed me to be.
Mm.
So that me and this whole journey has been about me discovering who am I?
Come on. Come on.
Who
I
am I?
know I know people coming in said, well, Dag, it's only 7:02. They started at 7 o'clock. How we come in this deep, this hot, this fast? Y'all better know. Y'all better know. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. If this is one of your first times ever coming to one of my shows, then y'all better learn today. Make sure you have your pen, make sure you have some paper, some way to capture some notes, because you are going to hear something that is going to inspire you, motivate you, or empower you. Hopefully, all of the above, and or something that you can share with someone else. So, all right, let's go on and get this party started. Tell the people a little bit about you.
I'm a transformational life coach, as you said, and what I looking back, I've always been a life coach. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I was coaching the little boy downstairs for his numbers and his alphabet. By the time he got to kindergarten, he knew his all his alphabet and his numbers up to like 25.
Mm,
Drove his kindergarten teacher crazy because he'd answer all the questions before and never give anyone else a chance. So
mm-hmm.
I look back on it, and in the 90s, I heard that everyone has a purpose,
Okay.
and I couldn't figure out what my purpose was, but I did intuit that it was something so inherent to who I was, I couldn't see the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1994, I picked up an article because I tried various things, HR,
Mm-hmm.
psychology, image consultant, and it never really fit. And then I
Mm-hmm.
read life coach, and I went, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as the time, I was that first wave, among that first wave of Black Americans into corporate America in
Okay.
1975.
Okay.
A 30-year corporate career.
Mm-hmm.
I shared a little bit about what brought me to to the awakening,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it was in 1990. I had done everything society said you should do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got married. I had the house in the suburbs. I had the wardrobe. I had the title assistant vice president of a major financial institution,
Mm,
national financial institution.
mm-hmm.
Just miserable.
Mm.
And in 1990, an event happened that had me change the way I looked at my life, and that literally changed my life.
Mhm.
And so my coaching consists of 30 years of corporate experience,
Mhm.
30 years of mind body healing. I've healed
Mhm.
from several life threatening illnesses,
Mhm.
plus some other things which I'll share.
Mhm.
And 30 years, I came into this life with a yearning,
Mhm.
but couldn't figure out what the yearning was because I never had it.
Yes.
And in the mid 90s, I was studying with a cross cultural anthropologist, and her
Mhm.
mission was to bring the wisdom of the indigenous people to the West, the
Mhm.
indigenous people of Africa, of
Mhm.
Asia, of America, of Australia, New Zealand.
Mhm.
And when she talked, it was like, that's what I was missing.
Wow.
So I spent 30 years living out of the sensibilities of the indigenous peoples, of my indigenous ancestors. And I know on my mother's side from the Gullah people, which come from
Mhm.
Sierra, the various countries, Sierra Leone, I forget what
Yes.
the ones are. So I know that just because we're Gullah people, and I know
Yes.
people, the rice people, that's
Mhm.
taken strategically, enslavement was strategic.
Yes.
So, so it's been 30 years of living all of that, and now
Wow.
culminating into to my coaching because I bring all of that into my coaching.
Wow. Let me just pause you for a moment. First of all, I love the Gullah culture. Whenever I get a chance to go down to South Carolina, that is, I try my best to learn something new and go. And so my husband and I went down a couple of years ago. We had a chance to hear Queen Quep speak. We had a chance to Elder Town and go to one of the festivals. And then I know the one of the Gullah Geechee festivals is actually happening on my birthday weekend this year. So somebody tapped me and they were like, "Are you coming?" And I was like, I don't know, but it is such a powerful people, such an amazing culture. What has it done for you tapping into that space?
It's healed so much.
Mhm.
It's healed so much. I draw on their resilience,
Mhm.
their creativity, their
Mhm.
innovation, their strength, their power.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, and it's funny because I knew I always knew I was Gullah Geechee. I mean, because what happened, my father used to do an amazing imitation of my aunt Julia.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I love to hear him. I said, Daddy, do Aunt Julia, and he'd do that Gullah Geechee accent, and I just loved it. And he would say,
Yes.
Geechee. And but what it's done is taken me back and a healing has occurred,
Mhm.
getting in touch with that, understanding how amazing we are.
Yeah.
We've come through what no other people has come through, and to be still standing and standing
Mhm.
strong,
Mhm.
powerful. I draw,
Yeah.
I draw on that.
Yeah, thank you. For people who are listening, I did put the Gullah Geechee Nation website in the chat room so you can take a look. I know sometimes we hear words and phrases that we may not understand or know much about. There, that's at least a springboard for you to start with, and then you can do your deeper research as well as transformational life coach Nancy James mentioned, in the South Carolina region, that is one of the main ports that the enslaved Africans were strategically brought to. At one point, research has said about 90% of the African American population lineage came through that port in Charleston specifically,
Mhm.
or within that region. So there is such a rich cultural heritage there. It's also it's sad, right? It can be depressing, it can be overpowering, it can be overwhelming. But then there's also an opportunity for reclaiming and for healing, as Nancy you're talking about.
That's it exactly for healing.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about, you gave the title for this show, which was From Pain to Power. So why? Let's talk about this, from pain to power.
Yeah, as I said, it's in corporate America because I, came in like it's 1975 with all that, with all the anticipation, all the adventure, all this, how wonderful it's going to be. And some of it
Hmm.
was, but a lot of it really wasn't.
Hmm.
And one of the things that happened when I was 8 years old, I was bullied by a school teacher, by my teacher, and it was colorism.
Hmm.
And as I shared, I had no self image at all.
Hmm.
And when I left his class at the end of the semester, and thank goodness it was only a semester because I don't know what kind of shape I was going to be in had I been there a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
I saw myself through his eyes, and all I wanted to do was die.
Mm.
I cannot tell you how many times I said, God, why did you do this to me?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you make me dark? Why did you make me ugly? Why did you make me female?
Mm.
And I said
Mm.
female because there was a boy in my class darker than I was, and he never called him out his name.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's when the eating disorder really took off because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all addiction is underlied by trauma. All trauma doesn't cause addiction,
Right.
but every addiction is underlied by trauma.
Yes.
And that's, and someone talked about, the good girl addictions, food
Mm-hmm.
and money.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and so, you just keep going along, you just keep living your life. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did everything I thought I should do. I got my degree, I entered corporate America. I did, like I said, the marriage and the house and the suburbs and the title and the wardrobe, all of this stuff. In 1990, I was just crazy and miserable.
Wow.
I was trying to do everything they said to do so to relieve the pain, and all it was driving me into deeper pain,
Mm.
deeper self-loathing, into deeper fear. I
Mm-hmm.
was so engulfed by fear.
Mm.
And in 1990, March, I started not feeling well. I started having symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time the end of June, I'd gone from a size 12 to a size 6. My liver functioning was down.
Mm.
I had joint pain and fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeding on myself. My left eye was twitching.
Mm.
My right eye
Mm-hmm.
was twitching. And luckily, I went to a doctor who had a large African American population.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately diagnosed me with sarcoidosis.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be mild or it can be extreme, and mine was extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I got the diagnosis, I knew I was dying.
Wow.
And I heard a voice say, "You've been trying to kill yourself since you were 8 years
Oh
old.
my goodness.
You now had at your disposal the means with which to do so."
Mm.
Talk about
Mm.
getting clear.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to die. I just did not want to keep living the way I was living.
Yes.
So I was depressed, despairing. And I had some friends who were into alternative forms of healing. And there was a medical doctor that had helped her husband to heal from terminal cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so she opened up an alternative practice, and I went to her, desperate, dying, depressed,
Mm-hmm.
despair. And she spent an hour and a half with me, asked me all kinds of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And after I was finished, she said to me, "Don't look at this illness as your enemy.
Yep.
Look at it as your teacher and your friend.
Mm-hmm.
What is it here to teach you?
Mm-hmm.
How is it here to befriend you?"
Mm-hmm.
That resonated and felt so true.
Yeah.
I did a 180.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she asked me several more questions. One thing she asked me, "Are you willing to change what you put in your mouth?"
Mm. Mm.
I used to tell people I lived on fat, sugar, and preservatives.
Mm.
I mean, I literally was trying to kill myself with food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so she recommended a plant-based. She recommended meditation and some other things she recommended.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew when I left her office, I was going to live. And she said
Wow.
to me, it's not going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a ton of steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting about it, all the symptoms that people usually have on steroids, I
Yeah.
didn't have.
Okay.
And I know it's because of all the things I was doing.
Yeah.
Plus, I was on a plant-based diet, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff when it's unnatural, the foods have a lot of steroids in it. So if you're already putting steroids in and you put more
Or
steroids,
steroids on top.
your
Mm-hmm.
body's gonna explode.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor was stunned. My doctor was stunned. He'd never seen anyone like me
Mm.
and how well I came through it. And what happened, 6 months later, I was doing really well. And I thought, okay, that means I can go back to doing what I was doing before. Back to the fat, sugar, and preservatives.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, 6 months later, I'm back in the
Right,
doctor's office,
right,
and this is said, okay, Nancy, this is not like the alcohol can stop drinking until the liver gets right. And I can drink some more.
right.
This has to be a lifestyle change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I actually recognized that I needed to heal on all levels: mental,
Mhm,
physical, emotional, spiritual,
mhm,
and
mhm,
that's what I did. I went on this journey of healing.
mhm.
Took talk about because before that I was locked in fear. I was so fearful. In fact, I remember it was January of 1990.
Yeah.
I was because I get this guidance, and I heard this voice say, Nancy, there are many things that you could have taken advantage of that would have been for your good, but you didn't
Mhm,
do them out of fear.
mm.
And what I realized, I wasn't make no distinction. I feel uncomfortable or fearful, and I wouldn't even explore it.
And I was getting ready to ask you, and it's interesting because I had a conversation with someone earlier today, and I asked them, when are you moving from fear versus when are you moving from like authenticity, this is the best thing for me? And of course they said, you know what, I've never thought about it. And as they stood there and started thinking more about it, it was like, I'm moving by fear a lot. And it's like, okay, you have to make an active decision, one, to be able to discern when fear has jumped in the driving seat and is moving you forward, and then to be able to tell fear to move out the way and take control of your vehicle, meaning your mind, body, and spirit.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what I said. I said it was as though um, there was a suicidal, barely conscious person driving the vehicle
Mm-hmm.
and drove us into a wall.
Wow.
And something in the backseat said, "Woke up,
Yeah. Yeah.
woke up." Spirit woke up and said, "You're not going to kill us. Get out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
driving." And
Mm-hmm.
it was the most amazing thing because so many things that I would not have done 6 months before I ended up doing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was so clearly directed.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been that obedient since.
That's
I just, it takes like, you know, people say, "Why'd you do that?" Well, I was going to die.
that's right. It,
And
it
that's,
was very clear.
very clear. I kind of have to, that kind of has to happen to me. I'm kind of like one of those people with the 2x4 go, because they talk about God first,
Come on.
whispers,
Come on.
touch,
Yes.
tap,
Yes.
little push, little shove.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
you get 2x4 between the eyes. And that's just,
Come.
okay, God, don't hit me again. Okay.
I used to ask people, I said, do you want me to call you by your name or would you like the nickname that I have for you? And they would say, well, what's the nickname? And I would say, Lump Lump. Because you can bust upside your head too many times with the same message.
Lump, lump. And I said, God, don't hit me again. I'm ready. I'm ready. Please don't hit me again. But that, I mean, and I've had several life-threatening illnesses.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
'Cause, I'm a little
yeah.
hard-headed. So these days I'm asking to please help me learn gently,
Yeah.
to
And
get,
thank you. Thank you for saying that because I think it is so important for people and those who are listening, please write down learn gently. That's something that is a mantra, that is a belief system that I do work with my clients about. Learn gently and quickly.
yes. And I don't know if you know Reverend Michael Beckwith.
Yes.
He says we learn through pain or insight. These days I'm going for insight
Come on. Yes.
because I've had enough pain and most of it self-inflicted. Okay, let's tell the truth. Okay,
Yes.
I did this to myself.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Wow. So okay, so you were living this life that most people from the outside
Outside looked
looking in.
so beautiful. Oh, I know there were people who quote unquote envy me
Yeah.
because I was also traveling across the country.
Here you are, this black woman in the 70s, in this
80s and
80s
90s,
and
80s and
90s,
90s, 80s
in
and
this position that is coveted, is rare. And you said you were married also,
90s.
right? You had all of that, but internally
I was a
was
mess.
in turmoil.
I was a mess. It was really, really quite painful.
Mm,
Really
mm-hmm,
quite the way I was living. And I'm clear that I mean, when the doctor said the diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go, why me? I knew why me.
Oh.
And I remember when the doctor said, because it's an autoimmune disease, he said, it's just
Mm-hmm.
the body turning on itself.
Yes.
And I said, that's fair play because I turned on my body for 30 days.
Oh. Can we just sit with that for a moment? The people who are listening, how many times have we turned on our body, not even recognizing that's what we're doing? I literally had to apologize to my body this morning because yesterday I consumed something and I was told not to consume it.
Like I said, kind of hard headed, aren't we?
Come on, come on.
But lump, did you say?
Yeah, that's right. Right. So wait,
No,
wait.
no, no,
Right.
no, no, good and well. You don't need to
Come
put
on.
that in your body, but
Yes.
still the voice goes, oh, you can have, oh, and that had, oh, you can have a little bit. And in my case, there ain't no little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that's all that's left, and I'm going around looking
That's
for more. Okay. Because I'm the real deal. Okay.
exactly. So then you have this life-threatening moment, right? It's a halt to you're moving in this direction. Life as you know it is about to come to an end. And the reality is you don't want your life like that anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Right? And now you're given this moment of transformation. As you said, you did a 180, and I'm so glad because so many times people say, I did a 360. I was like, well, then you ended up right back where you came
Where you
from.
were,
Right.
that 180.
You want a 180. You want the opposite of what you're doing. So you have this moment where you are saying, I actually want to choose life.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
How do you get the courage to start to take a step in a direction that is very unfamiliar to you because you've been a habit of walking and living a certain way that is unfulfilling and unhealthy?
Right. Well, like I said, for me, it takes a lot, and I'm going to die. It was
Mm-hmm.
clear.
Got you.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't something I thought of. No, it was clear. In fact, 2 years later, my boss passed away, and I got my personnel folder, and in it he said, "Nancy's not going to make it."
Oh my goodness.
My husband said he went out and asked God to spare my life.
Wow.
As one friend said, as we watched you pull yourself back from the dead.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I said, I knew this was a culmination of what I had been secretly coveting,
Yeah.
and the only reason, so the only reason that I didn't do it covertly
Yeah.
was because I was raised that God gave you a life and you didn't have a right to take it.
Got you.
But I was doing it every other way to take myself out the planet. And then when it got
Yeah.
clear, oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to die. I just can't. I
Yeah.
can't live like this. I mean, it was not a. It was either change or die. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't kind of a theory.
Yeah.
This was clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I know in school we would learn about accidental suicides, right? And that's what the big
Yeah.
quote. And people would say, "Oh, we can't believe he died." Okay, but he got behind a car. He was drinking and driving. He or drugging and driving. Was doing these types of things where we know with a rational mind that's going to lead you to dot dot dot. So they would never call it a suicide,
But
but clinically we would call it an
absolutely,
accidental
I remember. I
suicide.
think it was Dr. John Bradshaw said suicide by pole.
Mhm.
Because they ran into
Mhm. Mhm.
a concrete barrier.
Yeah. Diana said, "Thank God for your husband's covering prayer." Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, I had so much support.
Yeah.
So much support. I had a
Mhm.
community that I had been a part of that was into alternative forms of healing.
Mhm.
So I
Where
was,
was your openness for that?
I really have to say I got it from my mother. She was not really down too much with doctors because of her
Mhm.
experience as a Black woman in the
Okay.
South.
Okay.
They depended on home remedies.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
because her experience with doctors had been so horrendous,
Yes.
so she was not someone who looked to the doctors for quote unquote answers.
Okay.
I remember my youngest brother was ADHD, and she basically took him off the medication. She said they're just experimenting on him.
Mhm. Mhm.
After a while, she just
Okay.
so I was open to alternatives.
Got you. And so, what were some of those alternative healing that you said, I'm going to try this? And then you were like, oh my goodness, it really worked.
Yeah, I did acupuncture, I did massage, I did herbal medicine. S- Just about there's probably not a modality healing method in the 90s that I don't know about, experienced, or you know. In fact, I got concerned about myself because for 7 years I was just doing all kinds of things. I said, "Am I
Wow.
going to be one of those people that's going to be always looking out there for the
Uh
answer?"
huh. Uh huh.
But that's what I needed to do because after year 7, I started to not have that urge to
Uh huh.
explore. But yeah, books, workshops, um, quests. I mean, I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico on a week long thing where we went to Native American reservation. We went
Yes.
west canoeing. I mean, I did all kinds of, like I said, healing.
Mm-hmm.
Very few that I haven't experienced.
Wow. I totally love, and I know the audience is potentially thinking this as well. I mean, when you said you did a 180, you hit that do not enter sign, like death is here. You hit that wall and you turned around and said, no, you came out fighting for
I,
your
I,
life.
it was, and that's the truth. I was saying, not me.
Hmm.
And plus, the doctor I went to, she said to me, "You can heal from this,
Okay.
but you're going to have to do the work.
Yeah.
Body, mind, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual.
Yeah.
I'm going to support you how I can support you." She had a meditation class and other things. She's a person that turned me on to people like Wayne Dyer and
Yeah.
Louise Hay and Deepak Chopra.
Yes.
But I had to do the work every day. I had to
Yeah.
get up and fix my plant-based foods. I had
Yeah.
to say no. That what you said you ate, I had to say no
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to go. Okay, you got to get up and exercise.
Yeah.
There were things I had to do on a day in and day out basis, and that's one
Hmm.
of the things I
You
tell.
mean not a one and done? You didn't have to just do it one time and call it a day?
You know, that pisses me off. No, no, that doesn't work. I tried it. Okay. And although I want it to work as a fantasy, as we talk about fantasies, because that's
Yes.
one of those fantasies, no, this is what I've known as continuous daily actions.
Come on. Yes.
Um, uh, there's a woman, Barbara Stanley, she says, think big, act small.
Mhm.
Small,
Mhm.
consistent actions.
Yes. Yes. I love that CDA, continuous daily actions. And I think that is so important, right? Consistency, as you mentioned, routine, finding what works for you, and what do they say? Rinse and repeat.
Exactly, rinse and repeat. And also, you build on what works.
Yes. Yes.
So, and it doesn't have to be all day. Take a little bit of time in the morning
Mhm. Mhm.
to meditate.
Yeah.
Take a little bit of time to monitor what you're thinking,
Mhm.
because a lot of times what we're thinking are thoughts of other people. Children
Yeah.
don't come here thinking this mess. Okay,
Mhm.
somebody put that there,
That's right.
and it's time. And this healing work is letting that go.
Mhm. Well, you have a question here. Diana said, "What do you use on your skin? It is so smooth."
It's so interesting. What I find, there's something about a plant-based diet that is just, this is not unusual for people
Mhm.
on plant-based diets.
Mhm.
When I got sick in 1990, that's what I did.
Mhm.
I was plant-based. They didn't call it that then, but that's what that is,
Yeah.
because it's fruits, vegetables, beans, and grains. They're basically water. So you're
Mhm.
getting your hydration from the outside, from the inside out, as a.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
I have a routine which I'm not. In fact, the person who introduced me to you,
Yes.
she's very, 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 very does her routine on her skin, and she glows.
Yes, she does.
And
Yes, she
she said,
does.
"Yes, she does. Yes, she does." And she said, "Nancy, you need to start doing that." I go,
Mhm.
"Okay." because I can, I'm okay. you know, you know, I live by myself, so sometimes, the routine don't get done.
Yeah. Yes.
That the skin routine doesn't get done. But the thing is, though, because what happened before I became plant based, I still had horrible acne at 40.
Mm.
My skin was really oily.
Mhm. Mhm.
It did not look good.
Mhm.
And one of the things I started to notice when I became plant-based was how great my skin looked.
Yep. Yep.
And I do think I mean, plus it's also the thinking. I just don't get into those places of that negative thinking.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
self-talk, that little voice is there, but I understand it's just that little voice from the past.
Yeah.
It's not about today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm with people who are positive. I tell people, because like I said, I put myself through the ringer a lot.
Mhm.
I had a six-figure job, and in 2009, I lost everything.
Mm.
My house, I had no car. My six-figure job, I ended up working for Macy's as a sales
Mm.
associate, not as an
Mhm.
executive.
Mhm.
And looking back, I was so demoralized after my last corporate position as an employee.
Mhm.
I took 2.5 years off.
Mhm.
And then in 2009, when I lost everything, I went to work for Macy's. And I would tell people when they would come in, because people love to give you the bad news. I had my customers and my associates, they knew. I said, when they would try to bring me some bad news, I said, I'm Eveline from the Wiz.
Yeah.
Bring me no bad news. No bad news. No bad news. Don't you bring me no bad news.
That's right. That's right.
Because in fact, I said, tell me what's working in your life today. Tell me what's positive.
Mhm.
Tell me what makes you smile.
Yes. Yes.
And
Shifting that.
some people you're gonna have to let go of.
Yeah. Oh, now you're hitting them. Hit them.
I
Hit
know.
them, Nancy.
I know that some people, everybody's not gonna come along. Harriet Tubman didn't bring everybody along, okay?
Oh,
But some people said, I don't want to go.
that's right.
So just know, and the more healed you become, people are gonna drop away. Whether
Oh, child. Yes, go ahead. We about to have church. Come on. Go ahead.
people are gonna, because your vibration changes, you change,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
what you would have quote unquote tolerated before, will not tolerate now.
You can't even.
Can't
Right.
even. It's
It
not even.
causes so much turbulence in you. You can't even see it. They can't exist in the same space.
That's right. And you start, and what you start to do is become very aware of that, and you can actually see it coming and go,
Mhm.
I'm out.
Mhm.
Nope.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Let me say this real quick. As you were talking about your skin, Samantha said facts, natural detox. I know, many times many detox people will talk about whether it's juicing or eating fruits and vegetables for a certain amount of time. One of the things that most people tend to notice within like the first 3 to 5 days is that the skin begins to glow.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, too, as you start to reintroduce some things into your body, you'll notice what impact it's having.
That's right.
You'll start to scratch in certain spaces. Be it your head, your leg, or so forth, because your body is letting you know if inflammation is coming in. You'll notice congestion. I had me a good pretzel. I watched my face start to puff up. Now it's like now it'll take me 2 to 3 days to get that thing out of all of that inflammation out of my system. But you start to notice these
And
things
you
and
don't feel
impact.
well. You do not feel, you're not feeling optimally
Yes.
when you because
Yeah.
our food supply is not designed to heal. It's designed to keep you sick, so you will be a permanent patient.
Well, I question if it's actually food. And this is what
I
I
could,
mean
I
by
could,
that.
I could go ahead, Doctor.
My thing is food gives you energy and it helps you to
Food
live.
heals.
Food heals. Right. Now, other stuff might fill you up, but it's not necessarily food. I don't know what you call it.
I don't. I have exactly, but I
Right.
couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
food is life giving.
Yeah. Diana asked, first of all, she said that she is now encouraged to eat her veggies now. So thank you. So,
Oh, that's it. Oh, I will tell you, Dr. Walls,
yes.
I'll work with people, and I don't particularly work around their diet, but I will ask them because I know Americans don't eat vegetables. What the heck? And I heard before, I read this somewhere when I first got ill,
Uh huh.
that before World War II, the healthiest population was the Black population in the South.
Mm.
And what happened when I said to that, because I said to my mother what I was becoming was vegetarian. And she
Mhm.
said to me, we were vegetarians. And I just kind of looked and thought about that. And
Mhm.
they weren't vegetarians in the sense of vegetarians because you don't eat any, like, anti animals,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they were plant based.
Uh huh.
My mother's diet was plant based and was interesting because I got sick in my 40s.
Uh huh.
And a minister said to me, you got sick in your 40s. How come your mother didn't get sick until her 60s? Well, my mother ate the way she was raised to eat
Yeah.
until I got up big enough to start fixing that stuff because I used to love to bake.
Uh huh.
And then my mother, because she told me her and her mother, a 5 pound bag of sugar would last two people a year.
What?
A year.
A 5 pound.
Um, a year. So the only time they would basically, once in a while, they'd make a cake. They might have iced tea. My mother loved iced tea, but basically,
Wow.
and we eat so. And I will tell you, when I went to Vivian, the doctor I went to, she said to me, because um, it was macrobiotics and all food has energy. And she said,
Yes.
white sugar is the food of self hatred.
Well, daggone, Nancy.
Sorry about that. I know.
Look, she done messed me up, y'all. What? Wow. Wow, 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 wow. You know what's interesting? When I was, and let me say, Samantha, I see your question. I'm going to put it up here. When or rather your statement, it was Diana's question about balancing hormones. But I'm going to say this first. When I was spent 2 months living in Ghana, and all this, I wanted something sweet. Now, I wasn't a big snacker, but I wanted something sweet. And I remember one of the locals said to me, we don't do sweets. Like, why do you want something sweet? And I love the question because it forced me to reflect on why did I want something sweet? This was uncommon for me to even want it. And he was like, we don't do that here. And so I think it's so important when we stop and we assess why are we eating what we're eating.
Because it truly, I mean, it's all interconnected. Our moods
Hmm.
will want something, we'll feed it. And
Hmm.
if it's not healthy, it just
Yes,
creates a cycle
yes,
of sickness, of illness, of cravings.
yes.
It's a vicious cycle.
Which is why those detoxes are so important. I did Dr. Bobby Price detox in the summertime. And boy, oh boy, to get rid of a parasite cleanse specifically. And when I tell you that thing pulled more than just physical parasites. It was things that emotionally were way down that I thought I had already worked up, out, and through. It was, thoughts that I had. And it was like, where is this stuff coming? The bag of detox, like, what type of parasite cleanse is this? But it was
Body,
my,
mind, spirit.
come
We
on,
we
Nancy.
are body, mind, spirit. There's
Yes,
no separation. You cannot separate the mind from the body from the spirit. You
no,
can't. Your emotions, you can't. It's all interconnected.
yes, yes,
And that's what I got clearly when I got sick. I said, I'm going to have to work on all four levels in order
yes,
to heal. Because what they say, by the time you have a physical illness like I did,
yes.
you
It's
were,
a,
I was mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I was already ill. And
thank
it
you.
just manifested physically in the body.
So, right. So, the power of that, and I want to pull up what Troy said generational eating is painful. Go ahead, Nancy. I felt like you had something to say to that. Go ahead.
And that's what I was saying was that before World War II, the healthiest population was the Black population in the South. They could not afford to eat meat once a day. They couldn't even
Mm-hmm.
afford to eat meat once a week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So and they didn't own the land, but they lived on land. My grandmother and huge vegetable garden, all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they the only time they basically ate meat was like a little fat back, a little pork, and they would eat a chicken once. You know, when the preacher would come. used to eat
Mm-hmm.
that. It was plant-based. So
Mm-hmm.
they're eating a plant-based diet. Plus
Yeah.
they're exercising because they're working hard. The
Mm-hmm.
community is tightly knit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are spiritual people
Yeah.
practicing their spirituality.
Yeah.
They're laughing, even with all the things. Yeah, I mean, we have the most
Yeah.
amazing sense of humor.
Yes.
So through all of that, their spirits
Yes.
are flowing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so they're given all that they've experienced. It's amazing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And said I gotta tell you, my mother's breakfast would be collard greens and collard
Mm.
hominy grits. That was her breakfast.
Wow. I would have
And
enjoyed her breakfast. Those are two of my favorite things.
so that was her breakfast for,
Mm-hmm.
for decades. And
Mm-hmm.
she'd we'd have a chicken. She'd eat the neck, the back, and there's no meat in that. Then have a big plate of beans and rice. And because I'm from the Gullah people, so there's always rice on the stove. Gullah people,
Always.
always rice and beans, always.
Yes.
In fact,
Yes.
when I got sick, I realized I'm eating the way I was raised to eat without the meat.
Wow.
Because it's lots of vegetables. My mother believed
Yes.
you got to have your dark leafy green vegetables, your yellow vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talked about, we didn't have sweets and stuff like that. Mom called that stuff, and she'd once in a while fix a cake, but we didn't have dessert. But dessert.
Mm. Now, what'd you say sugar was again? I had to write that one down.
Yes, sugar is the food of self-hatred.
Oh, goodness gracious. Why'd she tell me that, y'all?
I know that's that's
Oh,
what I do. Yeah, and you recognize when you're going for it, what's going on emotionally.
mm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's major. That's major. And as you said, and someone recently said this to me too, he was saying that by the time something manifests itself physically, that's the last
That's the last.
piece.
It's gone through all the stuff,
Mental,
mental,
it's on
emotional, physical,
spiritual,
spiritual,
mental, right into the physical.
into the physical. Yes, and I knew I was in total breakdown. It was like
Hmm.
I knew that.
Yeah. So now you flipped it though.
I flipped it.
And when did you said, what did you say, about 6 months? So you 6 months,
So
you
six
then
months.
felt the difference, but then you decided to act like Michael Jackson, moonwalking in banana shoes and slide on back to your old ways. So,
Sitting back in the doctor's office, feeling like really like, okay, I did it again,
uh-huh.
and saying this has to be a lifestyle change. Because what we tend to do in this culture is think that a change, I do something once or twice, like you said, and it's all
Yeah.
going to be no.
Yeah.
What I finally at a late stage really, no, this has got to be a lifestyle. And it's got to be daily.
Yes.
I can't be backsliding back and forth because that doesn't work. Because I'm going to get
Mhm.
uneven results if I get any kind of result.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So I said, oh, this has to be a lifestyle change, and it has.
Mhm.
So I've been plant based since the '90s.
Wow. I tried to be plant based. I'm gonna put them on blast. I tried to be plant based when I was 12, and that Troy Nichols in the chat room told my parents, Kathy not eating no meat. Kathy not eating no meat, and they was like, you gotta eat meat. And I didn't want to, but I have been vegan and vegetarian off and on since I was about 12 years old. And then my longest stint was I was a strict vegan for 5 years. And it made a tremendous difference. It is my preferred lifestyle.
Yeah, it
You
was
know, eating.
it's so because I was like I said, I was plant based and I was really good. I'd given up everything, but the last thing I had to give up was eggs.
Mm,
And I
mm.
did that about a year and a half ago. So now I am vegan.
Wow, wow. Congratulations. Congratulations. So now you transform yourself and you say, I think I can have an impact on other people.
Well, the thing is, I've known when I got sick in 1990, um, and as I healed, I knew I didn't do it for myself.
Come on.
I knew that I was meant to share what I had
Mm-hmm.
learned, what I had
Mm-hmm.
experienced. Because, I say to people, what I'm telling you ain't from a book. I
Mm-hmm.
lived it.
Mm-hmm.
I lived every last bit of it. And off and on, I've been coaching off and on. In fact, the person who introduced us was my first client.
Okay. Okay.
Became she's now my bestest friend in the whole wide world.
That's
My
wonderful.
sister
Yes.
friend. It's funny. I say my parents didn't give me a sister because I always wanted a sister, but
Uh-huh.
you know God did.
Yes.
So I have
Yes.
this sister friend who I just adore. And what did I get on that? I'll tell you.
So you transformed, you shifted from
Yeah.
being.
So,
Hmm.
so, so, given that experience and all I had gone through, I knew it was of value.
Yes.
So I had been coaching, and off and on for since then, since the '90s, since the late '90s.
Hmm.
But I still had a lot of my own work to do.
Yes.
I tell a story. I don't know if you remember, years ago, Iyanla Van Zant, and she was very, very successful.
Hmm.
And she and Oprah were really close, and they had a
Hmm.
falling out, and she
Yep.
disappeared for several years.
Yes, you did.
And when she came back, she said, "I did my work."
Hmm. Hmm.
And not that your work is all, you never stop working. I said, "I'll be
Yes.
working 2 days after I'm dead."
Right.
But that hard, tough, get in there, and that I've done that work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I got really clearly that 2020 was to make this a formal process.
Okay.
And so this is the year, because I've had to do my own journey around being visible.
Mm. Mm.
I learned to hide,
Mm.
to make
Hmm.
myself small,
Hmm.
to not be seen, because that was
Hmm.
not safe.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so now, recognizing that that was then, this is now, that I'm being called. And I love it. Reverend Michael says, what does he said? The pain pushes you until the vision pulls you. I'm now being
Oh.
pulled by the vision.
Say that again, please.
Yes, the Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith. The pain pushes you until the vision pulls you.
Hmm. That's a good one.
Hmm.
That's a good one. I did have a chance to go to LA and go to his uh, church one time and hear him speak, and he's fascinating is an understatement, insightful, just
Oh,
yeah, incredible. So there's a couple things. One, I want to say that I often tell people things don't happen to you; they happen for you.
that's Reverend Michael. The 4 levels of awareness.
Go ahead.
I'm going to share with you. The first level, to me, the victim. Oh, they're doing this to me. Oh, why they did this? Oh. First, to me. The next level, by me, the ego. It's all about me. I got to do it all myself. Blah, 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 blah. The third level, through me. I'm the channel through which everything happens.
Mm.
And the fourth level, as me. Everything is happening for my good.
Hmm.
It may not look good or feel good,
Come on.
but everything is happening for my good.
Yes.
And when you can put, because I've started to actually, because I heard this about 2 years ago.
Hmm.
So actually, when something happens, I go, everything is happening for my good.
That's
Everything
right.
is happening for my good.
That's
Everything is
right.
happening for my good. And it's amazing the shift. And I actually start to see.
Yes.
Like I said, doesn't mean it feels good, doesn't mean it looks
That's
good,
right.
but I see the good. And even Napoleon, I think was it Napoleon Hill, the seed of equivalent benefit. When there's a tragedy, within that tragedy is the seed of something equivalent or better. The
Hmm.
illness is one.
Yes.
That could have been a tragedy,
Yes.
but it turned out to be one of the greatest gifts
Come on.
of my life,
That's right.
because I can say forced me. I used to say forced me, but it gave me an opportunity to change
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and have a different life, a different experience of life.
For so true. So now, not only, and as you said, it happened for you, and it also happened for others because you shared your testimony here, and you now have a business. You've had one now where you help others. Tell people about the services that you provide and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah. One of the things that through this journey, because like I said, one of the women I work with is the avatar. Meaning, I was that person. Like, it was hard for me. Who's my client? Who's my Well, it's
Hmm.
me, because I intuited it and actually saw it, but didn't really kind of form it until I actually heard someone say there are several species that have menopause:
Hmm. elephants,
elephants, whales, and humans.
Hmm.
And menopause is for wisdom.
Wait a minute now. See, y'all, if y'all don't have your pen and paper or your notepad to get stuff down, y'all gonna have to hit this replay so you know to look at the 49-minute mark. All right, go ahead. Give it to us again.
So
Elephants, whales, and people.
humans have
All right.
menopause. Menopause is for wisdom. What I noticed is that for 20 to 40, women are focused out because that's what we're told. Everything is outside. Everything's outside. Okay, get the trappings, do all this. Something starts to happen around 40
Mm-hmm.
where that no longer works.
Mm-hmm.
And women start to tap into their quote unquote intuition, their instincts.
Mm-hmm.
See, this culture does not value women's intuition.
Yeah.
That's our guide.
Yes, it is.
I have I have never, ever, ever, ever regretted listening to my intuition, but I've had
Yep.
some huge regrets when I haven't.
Yep.
And so the wisdom, these are the wisdom years. And now I'm an elder, you know,
Mm-hmm.
this culture. I'm the elder,
Yeah.
the wise woman, the old woman
Yes.
who leads the village, the tribe, the
Yes.
community.
Yes.
And most indigenous cultures are matrilineal and matriarchal
Yep. Yep.
because the wisdom through the female,
Yes.
the mother line.
Yes. I love it. So how do people get a hold of you? They say they want to work with you. They want to find out more. They want to spend more time with you. What do they need to do?
So I'm on LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
and Nancy the Life Coach at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
So Nancy the Life Coach at gmail.com. Get me
Mm-hmm.
through my email or my LinkedIn.
Okay.
Nancy James, Transformational Life Coach.
Yes. Yes. What do you want people to leave with when they have an interaction with you? And even tonight, what are you hoping that the audience leaves with?
One of the things my clients are mostly women, though not exclusively. And the first thing I tell them is get in touch with your instincts. Start honoring what you know, which
Mm-hmm.
because and that's one of the hardest things to do because we're discouraged
Yes.
from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Get in touch with your intuition, your instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Start to get in touch with your dreams, your visions
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what is calling you. Get
Mm-hmm.
inside. Because everything we have, everything we need is inside of us. It's just covered over by trauma, by experiences, by beliefs.
Yes. Yes. So get in touch with yourself without question. I'm actually going to pull up a video that I did years ago. It's a poem that I actually did during COVID, and I was going to be presenting at a conference virtually, of course. And this was downloaded, divinely downloaded into me. And then I called on women from all over the world and asked them to participate in this. And they did. And they sent me their images and so forth. Um, but as you were saying that, it just made me think about one of the lines in it. So I'm going to pull that up for us to take a look at. Individuals, if you, people in the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat room. Also, before we watch this video, I want to give a shout out to two places that helped us do our healing program last Saturday. We did a healing program called From Trauma to Drama to Healing. And we want to give a super shout out to the Metro Diner out in Bensalem. Please, 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 if you are in the Philadelphia area or surrounding area, if you just want to come to the Philadelphia area, surrounding area and support, definitely check out the Metro Diner in Bensalem. They donated all of the food for us for that event. People ate very well that day. And I also want to give a shout out to Yadeen. And Yadeen is, oops, sorry, let me get the right one. Uh-oh, I had to get Yadeen's link again and put it in the chat room. But they create all types of skincare products. And this one is my absolute favorite. This one is the Lavender Berry Extreme. It is whipped shea body butter,
Oh,
and it smells and feels incredible. So I will put their link in a moment. But I want to share this piece of poetry that I did, this piece of spoken word. And I think you will, let me get here. I think you'll appreciate the title, Nancy. It is called Release and Cry, Sis.
Mm, yes.
At some point, we were told not to cry. Stop crying. Hold it all inside. It's not that bad. What's wrong, my dear? Don't you know they'll think you're weak, filled with fear? Put up a brave front. Be more strong. Stop acting like a little girl. Keep pressing along. So I held them in, one by one, pulled back each tear, and turned my face to the sun. I sucked and tucked my wails inside, pushed down each feeling, and made sure they'd hide. Turned the key and locked them all away. I told everyone, I'm all right. I
Mm,
don't care. It's okay. Little did I know my mind, body, spirit I did betray. I became misaligned, not knowing my own truth. Instead, I listened to others in unknown forms of abuse. See, I was drowning the voice deep in my being, and my dried out eyes kept me from seeing the truth that tried to rise from inside. But I was told, you better not cry.
mm,
Into darkness, despair, and uncertainty, I lacked clarity, direction, and no longer felt free. I was trapped by the illusion of the importance of how other people see me. Strength meant no tears coming from inside. I was stronger with the more problems that I could hide. But then my well, see it filled to the brink. From the weight of it all, I began to sink.
mm,
Then up came the message from deep inside that all of the lies had been trying to hide. These simple directions came from within and led me to release this form of sin. One by one, my love, let them fall. It's time to release that water wall. The stress becomes less by doing this. With sadness released, there's more room for bliss. Remember when you cry, you release more than just tears. You release toxins, trauma, memories, and fears, lies, pain, relationships too, even manipulation, and especially inauthentic forms of you.
mm,
As you release each tear, make your desires known. What do you want in life? It asked. Take some time, be alone. Where in your life are you unsatisfied? Where in your life are you tired, frustrated, and being denied? To be all that you were created to be, where in your life do you need to be set free? The crisis is the turning point to make something new. It represents the dis-ease in your life and nature's call beckoning you to step up for you. So, how you choose to use this moment really is your choice. I recommend you take some time to learn your inner voice. In the midst of developing this relationship, don't be surprised when your inner voice tells you, to release and cry, sis.
So may your cries release what is no longer needed and activate you to live your greatest life. And like I said, these were women from all over who gave their images for me to utilize from Zimbabwe, United States, United Kingdom, Trinidad, Ghana, Rwanda, St. Lucia. So all over, all over.
That was absolutely wonderful, and it's so interesting because I have a six step transformational process called Marvel, and the R in Marvel is release.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And one of my
Mm-hmm.
teachers said there are places in us that have been frozen, and the
Yes,
tears are the defrosting.
yes. I love that. Yes. Yes, I'm gonna put up here what Troy said, and then we're gonna get ready to leave out. He said, "I'm working to stop being a slave to my trauma." And wise, Nancy, you have contributed to that. Thank you, wise Nancy and Dr. Cat. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Troy, definitely. Thank you, Diana. And Diana will be coming up on the show on the first Thursday in April. She'll be on our Sisters in Harmony show at 7 p.m. So if you have not hit that subscribe button for Ask Dr. Walls 525, I encourage you to do so. And any last words, Nancy, that you want to share with the people? You're changing lives one less piece of sugar at a time. But I'm just saying, look,
I think what I would tell first is the one of the most amazing things that you'll learn is that there's never been anything wrong with you.
come on. Mm-hmm.
Are there
Mm-hmm.
some work that needs to be done? Sure. Are there some things you need to release? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's nothing. There's never been anything wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken
Mm-hmm.
you've taken on other people's stuff,
Yes.
and this is the time to let it go.
Amen. I
Everything
mean,
that is not you,
yes. Release. Release.
release,
Release.
release,
Release.
release.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
I do
Nancy,
want to say
Dr.
one
Williams.
last thing. Maya Angelou
Please.
says, "Take a day to heal from the lies that you've told yourself and the lies that have been told to you."
Yeah. Real talk. Real talk. And it's okay to cry. And it has nothing to
In
do with
fact, we are the cry is release. It's actually cleansing and healing,
yes. Yes.
and we're actually stifling ourselves,
Yes.
literally in some ways killing ourselves by not
Yep.
allowing our tears that are they're there for a reason. And
Yeah.
particularly when we share with others, safe others,
Yes.
the grief, the sadness,
Yes.
lessons.
Yes. It is one of the biggest stress relievers. Our body are physiologically wired to cry to help us restore ourselves.
Precisely.
Yeah. And so and I know we have some generational tears that are inside of us too.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
okay to release.
Exactly. In fact, we have to.
Yeah.
That is part of the
Exactly.
healing process. We cannot heal without tears, without
Yeah.
crying,
Yeah.
without grieving.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I think our farthest person tonight has said their blessings from Switzerland. So thank you, Barnabas. So see, Nancy, you know we have people from all over. When I told you we had a global audience, I'm in a global audience.
Yes,
All right. Look.
awesome. Thank you, Dr. Walls. This has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, you are wonderful. You are wonderful. All right, you all. So we will see you soon. Definitely, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. It costs absolutely nothing, just a finger tap. Please hit the subscribe button for Ask Dr. Walls 525. As I mentioned, we will be back on Thursday, April 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our guest in the chat room, Diana Rhodes. So you'll have to wait and find out what she's going to talk about, but it's going to be wonderful. Again, if you are in and or around the Philadelphia area, please be sure to go to the Metro Diner. They are very supportive of our nonprofit Sisters for Harmony. As I said, they fed us well. Also, be sure to check out Yadeen. I did put their info in the chat. They're also local. You can go to their store in person in the Germantown section of Philadelphia, but you can also order their stuff online. And we just want to take a moment and thank everyone who supported us and helped us to have a wonderful event. Samantha Horn, Demetrius Charles, my husband, Edamoja Herman, Learn, Empower, Grow, Dion Chambers, Stephanie Blake, and of course, our Vice President, Ruby Burke, and our Treasurer, Edna Warren. And then there is Virgil Shepard, who is the CEO of Hope Partnership for Education, who graciously opened their school for us to have this event, and so many others, Tola and the Kappas and the AKAs who came out to step and to volunteer. We had a whole healing situation happening that day, and we'll have plenty of others. And so, Nancy, we thank you for adding to the mix of this healing energy that is in this world. Do not get it confused, y'all. Love exists, peace
Absolutely.
exists, healing exists, and we are here for it, and we are going to do our jobs. There was an author that said years ago, I think it was Patrice Rhoda Cobles. She said, it's not that there's more hate and love than love in the world. It's just hate is doing a better job. And I refuse for that to be true on my watch. So I share and spread the love with you all. God bless you all. And as always, continue to live your greatest life. See you next time.
Thank
Be
you.
well. God bless.
Bye bye.